I had the opportunity last night to share with some education leaders in our board some ways to use social media to enhance communication within their schools and outside the walls of their schools. I've posted the slides, you can see the link there, but I thought I'd spend a few minutes and talk a little bit about what I talked about last night. So the first question is why you might consider using social media as part of a communication strategy within your school. And the big reason is relationships. We spend a lot of time face-to-face building relationships, but there's a lot of value also in developing relationships at a distance. We can learn from each other, we can share things, good things that are happening, and we can also interact in ways that are not really possible face to face. There are advantages to online communication as well as disadvantages that we need to be aware of and we need to use to our greatest advantage whenever appropriate. So the first thing to know is that we can communicate with a variety of different groups. Just because we often see students face to face, for example, and we see staff face to face on a daily basis, doesn't mean that social media is not a good way to connect with them either during the school day or outside the boundaries of the school day. We can communicate with staff and students in that way. We can also communicate to or with parents, the broader community, and then we always have that global audience if we use social media as a way to communicate. If we communicate just in print or just by radio or on TV, it's difficult to have that broad and persistent and permanent reach. The question of how to get started with social media is not an easy one. You should try something. I definitely believe you should try something, but you should not try everything all at once. So start small, start with something that you feel either comfortable with or that you are well supported in, that you have someone you can get help from. That's a great way to start to be safe and to make sure that you don't do anything you don't mean to. The easiest way to start is to absorb information, to read what other people are posting. I'll talk about specific platforms in a little bit, but something like Twitter is a place you can go to read what people are saying without actually even needing an account. You can just go and look and read and follow along so that you understand how the platform works and what good conversations look like and maybe what bad conversations look like. When you've moved beyond that stage and you understand how the platforms work, engage with them by sharing some good news. You have something positive that happens at your school. Maybe there's a fundraiser that was highly successful and you're making a donation to a worthy cause. That's a good news story that it makes good sense to share. Historically, if you would have shared that sort of thing in, say, a local newspaper, the scope of the audience is people nearby who buy newspapers. If you want to share that online, it can be reshared by other people and the reach can be global. You can also share bad news, and by that I mean things like school cancellations or bus cancellations, so that people in the community know right away and can reshare things that are happening from the official source instead of just word of mouth and rumor. How about an event that's coming up? You have a musical that's happening at your school, or maybe there's a professional learning opportunity like an ed camp that's happening. Share that out so that people will know about it and can reshare it so that the reach is broader. As a leader, it's a good idea to share your learning. What if you read an amazing blog post and you want to share that out to your staff? You can do that by printing a copy for everybody. You could even email everybody on your staff. But how much more effective is it to just post it and share that post with everybody on your staff? They can get to it at their leisure. They don't delete it because it's always there on the public web for anybody to see. And the best part is you can end up communicating and connecting with people outside of the usual staff that you normally connect with. And similarly for your own reflections. When you read something and learn about it, that's great, and it's great to reshare those things. But what about when you're struggling with something? What about when you are trying to learn something and you are reflecting upon what that article you read means for your current practice? Those reflections are good for everybody to share because it shows that we're not all arrived, that none of us have all the answers. It opens the door to great and deep conversation with other people about the nature of teaching and learning, for example. The most complicated kinds of uses are the ones where you're interacting with other people. When you ask a question or they ask a question of you, when you reply, when you start to comment on someone else's thinking. That kind of responsive behavior is most difficult to do well, but also the most valuable. So the trade-off is the risk and reward are the things to think about. You should be very cautious as you respond to people, especially people who aren't other professionals, because there's always the danger of misinterpretation of your tone or what you're trying to say, or worse, if they interpret it correctly and it's not positive. So be cautious and remember that everything is always public and globally visible and transparent, even if your privacy settings say that it's not. So let me talk briefly about some of the different platforms. Facebook is the largest social platform that we have. There are almost a billion monthly active users at this moment, so that's pretty big, and so it's something that I don't think is safe to ignore. That said, it's for a lot of people it's primarily used as for friends and for family as opposed to a professional space. It does have excellent reach though, and it also has the ability to create public events, public pages. So lots of school boards and schools, for example, will have a Facebook page where they can share events, share things that are happening, and also get feedback from the community. Twitter for me is a great professional development engine. It's a place I can go and connect with other teachers and other people in community agencies or from around the world who have similar thoughts or that are interested in the same things as me. And that's true for both professional stuff and for personal stuff. I can tweet about something I learned about assessment or about a great tool that can be used in a classroom to improve learning, or I can tweet about graphic design or about Lego. It really doesn't matter. Google Plus has sort of the same feel. It's not as large of a network as Twitter or Facebook, but once again you can have Google Plus actually gives you a lot more scope in who can see what you say. You can choose these circles and you can post things so that only people in certain circles can see them, and you're the one who decides who goes into what circle. YouTube isn't maybe thought of as a social networking platform, but it really is. It's a place for you to broadcast, but it's also a place for you to follow each other and to accept comments and to like or rate things as you go along. So there's a lot of value there just from the connectivity perspective. For teachers, it's a great place to share things that they've created. You share an instructional video so that your students can see it, but also any student from around the world can see it, and it's always there. It persists from year to year. Instagram is for photo sharing. You can post a photo along with a caption or a comment to go with it, and then you can accept comments afterwards. Great interactivity, very, very easy to use, cross-platform, and it has lots of albuming and things like that to go with it, so it's cool to share an event. Flickr has a terabyte of data storage for free. That's pretty awesome at this point. Having a terabyte is very expensive otherwise. You can share a lot of photos. You have the ability to license them. For example, if you want to use Creative Commons licensing or if you want to apply full copyright to it, either is fine. And the Pro membership allows you to upload as much as you want in a given time period. The free one limits how much you can upload in a month, for example. Pinterest is not just for recipes, although that's the kind of the common perception. Pinterest is a place that's a visual way to share links to websites. So if you read a great article and you want to share it out, you can do so with Pinterest. You pin it and you pin it to a board, and a board is just a way to categorize things. So you may have a board of recipes, and that's great, and you may also have a board that is about educational technology and another one about teaching math in an e-learning context, whatever. Each board is a category of things. People can follow boards or they can follow you. WordPress is a blogging site. There are a lot of blogging sites. WordPress is, I think, the largest. There's also Blogger or Blogspot, that's from Google, and there are many more. This is a great way to share things in two fashions. The blog are posts which are posted chronologically and they show up with the most recent things at the top, but also WordPress gives you a simple website. You have pages that you can set up with navigation or menu between them. It's a great way to collect stuff and share stuff out. It's very exportable. It integrates with other social networking platforms. So if you, for example, write a blog post, you can share it through Twitter and through Facebook and Google Plus just with a click of a button. Desire to Learn is our learning management system that we use in Ontario. There are social powers to it, and you should talk to your e-learning contact if you're interested in how to make better use of that in your school and in your class and for your parents. If you want to connect with me, here are the easiest ways to do that. I hope to connect with you. Twitter is by far the fastest way to get a hold of me, and if you want to hear more about what I think, that's what WordPress is for. Thanks a lot.